Hi everybody, it's me, it's Gemma. I have been away for more than a hot minute, but I decided to come back with the mid-year book Freakout tag because it meant that I could both catch up with everyone and not need to think too deeply about what I was going to talk about. So where I've been, I have just been working like full time. I've been tired and I have not been reading a lot of books that are like trendy on booktube, so I guess I was put off quite a bit by the fact that I wouldn't be talking about a lot of the books that were really popular and that I'll be talking about a load of books that are old titles, non-fiction, all that kind of stuff, but I decided to just go for it. And the other reason is that I have not been buying physical books pretty much at all in 2021. I got rid of a lot of my physical books over the last 2 or 3 months, you know, for space, but also because I have my Kindle and I just really don't need a lot of physical books, as pretty as they are. And I was starting to feel really guilty about what I had and hadn't read. So having them on the Kindle doesn't make me feel as bad about having loads of unread books because they're not taking up a load of space in my house. So for an update, so far this year I had set my Goodreads goal at 150 books and I have so far read 87, which I think is fine. I'm more than halfway. So I think it's a pretty good place to be in the middle of the year. And there's Finn in the background, look at him, he's being really cute. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read in 2021 so far? And I'm going to go for non-fiction for this one, and it is The Five by Hallie Rubinold. It's the untold lives of the 5 women killed by Jack the Ripper. Now, this really book doesn't go into any detail at all about Jack the Ripper, about the actual crimes themselves. It is all about the lives of these 5 women, which are so interesting. You just would not believe the amount of information that is out there about these women. They were businesswomen, they were wives and mothers, and all of them really came to be in a bad position at the end through addiction, through no fault of their own, divorce, all this kind of stuff. If you like history, if you have been interested in true crime, I thoroughly recommend this book as a kind of antidote to a lot of the mythologizing of Jack the Ripper and a lot of the sort of mythology around it about him killing prostitutes. I was really interested to find out that there's actually only proof for 2 out of the 5 ever having been involved in sex work. So I thought that was really interesting, and how the fact that they were pretty much all except for Mary Kelly homeless at the time was far more relevant. So I thoroughly recommend it. The Five by Hallie Rubinold. She also wrote a great book called The Covent Garden Ladies, which I recommend, which is all about the brothels and things of Regency England. If you like sort of really specific history books, you will like that. So the next question is, what's the best sequel that you've read this year? And I'm going to be honest, I haven't read that many sequels this year. I have, like I say, been reading a lot of non-fiction and things like that. But one that I did read and loved was The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. I gave this whole series 5 stars, and it's a Russian mythology, fairy tale inspired world set kind of like the tail end of, I would say, the medieval period, like the 5th, 16th, 17th century maybe. I'm totally getting my history periods mixed up, but anyway, it doesn't give any particular time period really, aside from the fact that the Tatars and the Khans are about to attack Russia, and Russia's still very made up of boyars and things like that. But I'm not going to take a guess at the history period anymore because Russian history isn't my strong suit. But I really love the character in this. I loved the story. It was really a different story, and I really loved the ending for the main character, which I won't go into too much detail about because obviously this is the 3rd book and I don't want to give away too many spoilers. but I really felt like it was a different ending for a woman in a fantasy story, and even the fact that there was a bit of romance in it didn't take away from the independence and the trajectory that the female main character wants to go on. That is the most convoluted way of describing it, but again, no spoilers, but do read The Winter of the Witch series by Catherine Arden. It is really very, very good, and I recommend it. Now, new release I haven't read yet, and that would be The Nameless Ones by John Connolly. It's like the 17th book in the Charlie Parker series, and he normally releases like maybe one a year, one every other year, and I have never read a John Connolly book that I didn't love, because the characters are just so good. Charlie Parker as a main character is really, he's a private detective, but there's so much going on behind it. It's not just crime. In fact, it's getting more and more supernatural as the books go on, which I actually really like. And The Nameless Ones is actually going to be somewhat centered on Louis and Angel, who are semi-retired thieves slash assassins, and they are my favourite characters in the books. They also have a standalone book in the series called The Reapers, which is brilliant, but I'm really looking forward to reading it because, as I say, I love John Connolly, I love Charlie Parker series, and Angel and Lewis are my faves. So as soon as, probably I'll get it in the next couple of weeks, I would say. I've got another couple of things sort of I want to read first, but then after that I'll be doing that, and I will probably agonise over whether to buy a physical book or a Kindle book, because as I say, I've gotten rid of so many of my physical books, but I own all the John Connolly books in physical copies, so we'll see what I decide. Most anticipated release of the year, The Woman Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. As soon as I saw it on Goodreads and I saw a couple of people talk about it, I really wanted to read it. I was like, when is it out? Is it out now? Can I read it now? I think it's out in like 3 or 4 days, and I'm really excited about it. I believe it's about a girl who becomes the first emperor of China. It's like a retelling, an alternate history. I don't know whether it's going to have, I believe it's going to have like magic and stuff in it, but I'm really looking forward to it. And everyone I've seen that's had an arc of it has said that it does live up to the hype. So yeah, I'll be getting that as soon as it comes out in the next like 3 days. And then the biggest disappointment of the year, I have two. One was Ruthless Gods by Emily A. Duncan. Now, leaving aside all of the horse manure that's been going on with Emily Duncan over the past year or so, I won't be buying any more of her books, but this book was so disappointing. I really felt like it was just all over the place. The storyline was like, I'm good at keeping up storylines. I've read The Lord of the Rings, I've read The Silmarillion, I've read The Wheel of Time, I've read many narratives that go in and out of time periods and characters and blah blah blah, but this, I honestly got to the end and I was like, what? I don't even know what has happened in this book. I have so little idea of what has happened in this book, and I was just like, nah man, it's not, this is not it. So I don't know whether to read the last book or not for completion's sake, but if I do get it, I'll get it second hand because I won't be paying full price for a copy. And the other one I found really disappointing was Night Film by Marisha Pessel. Now, this one was more disappointing because I was really into it in like the first half of the book. I was really enjoying it, and it reminded me a bit of The Cutting Room by Louise Welsh. She's a Scottish author, and if you wanted The Cutting Room to be good, I would recommend reading The Cutting Room. But the ending was just like, it was just a wet blanket of an ending. Do you know that way sometimes you get to the end of a book and you're like, did you just lose interest like through this book? Did you completely think, fuck it, I can't be bothered writing an ending, this'll do? That's how I felt about that book. Sorry, Marisha Pessel, but the ending just wasn't. And then my new favourite author, I've read a few new authors this year, but I'm going to go for TJ Kingfisher. I've read 2 of her books this year, The Twisted Ones and The Hollow Places, both of which are sort of, they're horror, but they've also got a tinge of sort of not Aleister Crowley, the guy that wrote Cthulhu. It's gone completely out of my head, but it'll come back, I'm sure. It's got that hint of that non-Lustian thing going on. I really enjoyed it. The Hollow Ones has a lot about like fairies, but they're really evil fairies. And the Hollow Places is about a woman who finds a portal to another realm in her in her uncle's weird curiosities museum. It's really good. I recommend it, and I will read her other books as they come out as well. Newest fictional crush, none. I really don't have any fictional crushes this year. I've not really had any characters in books anyway that I've been like, wow, I really love this character. In TV shows and stuff, I have, and obviously in bands, because I've got my Shuki here, obviously I have non-fictional crushes, but yeah, nobody really stood out for me this year. I'm hoping maybe that'll change. I really want to find a new character that I love, but it just hasn't happened so far. Newest favourite character would have to go to Kirsty Cotton from the Hellraiser series. Now, loved Hellraiser, the movie, which I think I watched at the beginning of this year. I'll link my Letterboxd below because I've been watching loads and loads of movies. And Kirsty is the final girl of the Hellraiser series. In the first one, she kind of falls into things a bit like, her uncle and her dad and everything are involved. And then the sequel's really good. And then she isn't in the next couple after that until a really bad made-for-TV Hellraiser movie. But as for books, I did read the Hellraiser, The Hellbound Heart, which is the novella. And also I have been working my way through the Hellraiser comic series, in which Kirsty actually becomes the new Pinhead, and I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm like on number 5, and I'm really enjoying the art style. I'm really enjoying the storyline. I just really like the Hellraiser universe, and I'm so looking forward to the reboot that is supposedly coming on HBO. That's what I've heard. Book that made me cry, none. I've been a hard-hearted bitch this year. I haven't read any books that made me cry. I tend to avoid books that are like sad and stuff anyway. There's enough sadness in the universe without me reading about it. I can't handle tragic books. I can't. That's why I haven't read The Song of Achilles either, because I just don't like being unhappy. So I haven't cried at any books this year. Book that made me happy, I would say Come Tumbling Down by Shawnee Maguire, because every book in that series has made me happy. They are all so well written. They're just nice bite-sized stories, and also the characters are so, not relatable, but they are so sort of, you can empathise so much with them. And I just think that the entire premise of that universe is so good. You know, the kids who've been to other worlds and have come back and they're really struggling. I love that series, and I loved Come Down because I loved Jack and Jill's story so much, and I really thought that this was a good ending to their story. And then most beautiful book that I've got this year or received this year. Now, like I say, I haven't been buying a lot of fiction books. I really just haven't been doing it. But I did get the BTS winter package, which is a photo book, and it's really stunning, and I really love it. And yeah, I do have obviously the other BTS photo books that have come with my albums and things like that, but that one is the one that I like best. And also it comes in this cute little pouch thing that I will maybe sometime use for a laptop. And I think this is like the last question. Yeah, book to read in the second half of the year. This is one of the few physical books that I have hung on to, and it's Lightbringer by Claire Legrand. I have enjoyed the first two so much, which was Furyborn and Kingsbane. I really like Legrand in general. She does sort of really different things with her female characters, and I can't wait to find out what happens to Riel I'm so excited about it, but I've been putting it off so long, just like I did with Dark Dawn, which I read earlier on in the year, because I'm scared that I will not enjoy it. But this is the book that I need to read in the second half of the year, and I promise I will, and I will let everyone know what I think of it. So anyway, that's the mid-year book freakout tag. I can't promise that I will be posting regularly because I'll probably just post as and when I feel like it. I'm not really in this to sort of build an audience or anything like that, in the sense that posting consistently would help me. I'm mainly hanging about on TikTok and on Letterboxd watching a lot of movies. So if you want to come follow me in any of those places, then please do. And as always, comment below, let me know what you thought about my picks for this these questions. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.